Welcome back to another episode of the TAPIN Football Podcast. We're at TAPIN Football on all socials. I'm your host, Stevie.
I'm your co-host, Tapping Tobes.
Did anybody give you that title?
So what am I then?
You're literally just nominating yourself.
So what am I then if I'm not a co-host?
Aren't we all co-hosts?
We're all hosts, I think. So let me say it. Let me rephrase. I'm your host, Tapping Tobes.
You're a contributor.
Yeah, I'm your host, Black Dan.
Looks like we've got a fourth host as well.
Hey man, let me introduce myself as the fourth host, Banks. Come from the final third. It's nice to be here today.
You came in real smooth, like one of those
Like a
sexy radio voices.
So what? Are you turned on by him? Yeah. Ridiculous.
I didn't say that. I just said he came on
Ridiculous.
real
You ain't got a
smooth.
life, you are. You ain't got a life.
Let's keep it PG, Toby.
What team do you support?
United, unfortunately, man.
Lord.
Going through the dark
Lord.
times.
It's proper unfortunate at the moment.
It's fantastic for me.
It's tough
How
times at
can
the
it be
studio.
fantastic for you?
It's fantastic for me.
They're
What
still
does-
ahead of you in the table.
Not for long.
Oh, you are bugging.
Not for long. But let's.
Me and Dan are still figuring out how to share this mic.
Yeah, I don't know how it's gonna work, but
just put it in the middle and just talk. Simple.
Yeah, as you can see, that's what we're trying to do.
No, just leave. Okay, whatever. No worries.
It's moving around like a fan.
Yeah.
From side to side.
Are you
generator.
attacking my competency?
Yeah,
Because
I
it
am.
literally took you 30 minutes to set up these posters.
Okay,
behind.
cool. It's me that.
And one of
struggled.
them's wonky as well, so I'm atting you. Swinging the mic back my way. Man United today, obviously up against the league leaders, Liverpool. That's where we'll start. 2-0, convincing performance, I thought, from Liverpool, but I weren't too unhappy at Man United's performance. But I mean, I want to hand it over to you. Let us know what you thought of the match.
For me, it was everything you expected to come from the match, especially with Rashford missing. You missed that bit of dynamism, that bit of the way we've been playing against Ole. It's basically been whoever's up top, whether it's Martial, Rashford, we need a bit of magic from them. And when you're playing without Rashford, he's been in great form. It looked dire for me. The first half, we got into a couple positions. The lack of quality let us down. Dan James had a chance to cross the ball in, hit the first man. Pereira again, shot from 20 yards when could have probably found another player.
Shock.
Then you got Martial making runs, and you need your midfielders to find him, but they're not lifting their heads up, and it kind of symptomised the whole thing. Liverpool didn't have to play great to get this win, not for me. They played well in the second half. They created a lot of chances. Could have went 3-4 ahead, but in the first half, I don't think they were great. Where they created bucket loads of chances, but again, when we're not putting enough of a threat on the other end, you don't need to do much to beat us nowadays.
Yeah, it's a fact. Toby, what did you make of the game?
I said to myself I was going to take a nap. So I actually
You're
said,
having a laugh, man.
No. I actually check the chat. I said I'm going to take a nap because I know I'm going to wake up and I'm going to get straight into this game. And Liverpool are probably going to be 1-0 up. Lo and behold, I wake up. Liverpool are 1-0 up, and I literally wake up just as Bobby Firmino has curled that beauty into the top corner, the one that was incorrectly ruled out.
Incorrect.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it wasn't a foul.
Are you crazy?
It wasn't a
That
foul on
is
Van Dijk. But
crazy.
let me finish my thoughts in the game.
No, wait, no. We've got to stop you there. It's not a foul
I don't think it was a foul.
on De Gea.
No, I don't think it was.
You've never
He's
seen a.
literally come in with his elbow. He's led with his elbow.
His elbow? This is nonsense. Have you watched this? His arms were down. He hasn't led with any elbow.
No.
You've literally made that up. You have made
coming
that
like
up.
this.
You're gonna look like an idiot when you go watch the replay. You've made that up.
You want to relax?
Yeah,
because
you've actually made that up.
Because for me, I do think it was a foul. I think it was soft, but it definitely wasn't because of any elbows. or anything like
Ridiculous.
that. My only reason why I think it's a foul is just because Van Dijk's gone to get the ball. He's not got the ball, and he's got
Exactly.
the man.
You can't go into the man.
That's what I think. I think for that to not be a foul, Van Dijk needs to have some contact with the ball, basically.
I thought he made contact with the ball.
No, he didn't. But in general, I do think it was soft. I think De Gea was lucky to get away with that because at the end of the day, when you're the keeper, you're the only one that can use your hands. You're 6'4" tall, whatever. It shouldn't matter how tall the defender is coming into you. You should be able to get there, claim it, and there's no reason for you to drop it. You should clear the man. get your knees up if you have to protect yourself like that. De Gea does that way too much, where he goes in for it and he's scared of the defender coming into him.
But it's a foul.
He should be more commanding.
But you agree it's a foul?
For me, it was
So it's a foul.
soft foul.
Come on, man.
I don't agree.
Come on, man.
Listen,
Van
we
Dijk's
don't have
gone up in the air.
We don't have to agree on this. We don't have to agree on this. You think it's a foul?
But Toby,
I don't
Van
think
Dijk's
it's a
gone
foul.
up in the air. He's made no contact with the ball.
That's
He's
the
made
most
contact with
important
the
thing.
air.
If you-
What would
if
you
you
He
want?
made contact
in
with the
that
ball for me.
situation,
He
if
made
you-
contact with the ball for me.
What? He
didn't
made
make-
contact in the ball for you.
Yeah.
In this situation, if he makes contact with the ball, it's not a foul because he's gone up straight. If he wins the header, then you play on. But he's made contact with the keeper. He's disrupted him. He has his hand in the air. He's about to catch the ball. Van Dijk clatters him.
De Gea should be so much.
He
stronger
should be
than
stronger, and it's not the first time he's been in these sort of situations. But a foul's a foul at the end of the day.
Okay, you don't think it's a foul. I don't think it's a foul. But my thoughts on the game were just similar to my thoughts last week against Spurs. I think Liverpool are doing enough to win these matches. They lose their way in moments. I think they lost their way more so today than they did last week. I think they gave you at least a good 20 minutes to actually get a foothold into the game and actually start creating like a couple openings. But generally, like you said, the quality at that end of the pitch was never there. So at no point did I actually think, like Liverpool are in trouble here. Liverpool are in trouble here. Like normally when you have a 1-0 lead, it's precarious. Like you have to put the game to bed. And although they did put the game to bed, I think even if Salah doesn't score that goal, there was no threat of you lot winning today.
I was gonna say, obviously Rashford didn't start today. Looks now like he's gonna be out for a considerable amount of time. Is there anyone to blame there? Do you think for perhaps the state he's currently in? Because obviously he's been playing under the pine barrier. So is what
The
we've
pine
heard.
barrier. What is that? The pine barrier. I mean,
I
The pain barrier.
You had a few drinks today.
It's not for Steve today.
do you remember?
I'm rattled, innit? Obviously.
Do you remember WWE when you play the wrestling games and like when you're thumping up someone on the game, their body starts turning. It's like green,
goes
then it's
yellow,
yellow, then it's red. Like Rashford's back is on dark red. His ankle is on dark red. And you lot are still playing this guy.
Yeah,
So
crazy.
it's no surprise that now this guy's Euros are potentially in jeopardy now as well. Despite him having his first proper breakout season. I actually feel so sorry for him. I really do.
And the thing is, right, I think this is the main criticism that I've had of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this season, because I think tactically, all of this, people getting onto him, like game management, all this, but I think there's actually very little that he can actually do with the squad that he has. But I think when this is where a top manager will be demanding of the board behind him, when he's looking at his two best players in Rashford and Pogba having severe injuries, having to play through pain, bringing them back early, this, that, and the other. That is when your Pochettinos, your Mourinho's, etc., would call the board out and say, I need signings, this, that, and the other. This is not good enough. And you've seen top managers do this in the past. You've seen Conte do it. You've seen Pep do it, like at previous teams, saying, I need investment, I need backing. Do you know what I'm saying? And Ole, it doesn't even look like he's going to say this at any point.
At the end of the day, he's lucky to be in this position. So he's not going to call out the people employing him because he knows he's very lucky to
Exactly.
be.
It's fortunate.
If
So
he starts asking, saying, I need this player, and in the time he was talking about, I won't hold any grudges if I don't get any players. When we could clearly see we need a midfielder.
Respect yourself, man.
We need a
Yeah,
forward.
but he's got no pedigree to even say.
He came out and said that you lot might need to get some loans.
He's
Listen,
having.
you know what? You just want to. Okay, if I can get signed, can I possibly?
Yeah.
Please,
Can I get some more?
Can I get some crumbs, please?
Just something.
But that's why he's not the right guy to take you forward, because.
But you said he was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I know, and I'm revisiting it because
Flip
because
flopper.
the reason
He's back.
You've got no backbone.
He's back.
people aren't allowed to elaborate on their points now anymore.
I mean,
Elaborate. There's a difference between elaborate and changing every week.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me elaborate on my point though, because as I said, the reasons why people are criticising him and getting onto him, they've not changed. The squad is poor, right? The problem now is that Ole is a yes man. He's a yes man. What United need is a manager to call the board out and whip them into shape, right? Because we've said time and time again about the poor job that Ed Woodward's doing in backing the managers. The Glazers, they're not going to show any ambition with you. So what needs to happen is for you to improve as a club, the manager needs to be the driving force behind it.
We just had a manager
Who did all those things and he got sacked.
Yeah.
And he wasn't backed. So
But he got sacked,
was
so
back.
he didn't change.
back.
He was back.
Let's
When-
not do
when-
that again.
Okay, let me say this. This is going to be the last time I say this. Yeah, the time when you needed to back Jose Mourinho.
When was that time?
The time was after he came second.
Okay.
After he came second.
That's the worst. For me, that was the worst because by the time that season finished, I said he was done.
Thank you.
He was done at the top.
Thank you. And you look, and like Banks is saying, like you look at the players he was demanding, and you're saying, oh, he wasn't back. He's demanding Willian. He's demanding Perisic.
Okay,
he's demanding that man. No, wait, no, let me finish. Let me finish. Can I finish? Can I finish?
Do you think he's going to bring that club success?
He could possibly bring.
Do you think he's going to bring them success? But look at the players he's demanding. Look at the players he's.
But there's a difference, Dan. No.
They are backing the manager and saying we are bought into you regardless.
Bro, your point is
because you are the football man. That
Mourinho was doing that despite of some of our best young talent.
Exactly.
He was dropping Pogba. He was dropping Rashford. He was dropping Martial. Players that you could easily build the club's future around. He was. You don't remember when he was turning to the crowd doing all of this?
Yeah. When Rashford's missing,
he destroyed. Like nobody wanted to sign contract. De Gea, Martial, only signed.
Who wanted to leave?
Yeah.
But this is the guy that you want Man United to back.
You can't put that trust in
Joker.
Mourinho.
Absolute joker. And I'm sick to death of hearing, oh, he wasn't back. He basically put himself in a corner where he didn't allow himself to be back because he's demanding these players. The club are buying these players, and you're not improving the results. You're not improving the style of play. So stop. I don't want to hear. I don't want. No. My final point is I do not want to hear that he wasn't back because he was backed.
The point,
not paying 60 million, not paying 60 million for Alderweireld is not paying 60 million for Alderweireld doesn't mean he wasn't back. It means that they're logical there.
Okay, so not buying Harry Maguire and then buying him the summer after for double the price.
Mismanagement.
That's just. We have to look at the board, and I think even past this Mourinho point, because I don't want to labour too much on it. Obviously, Man United are supposedly in the running to buy Fernandes, and it brings me back to poor management again because we've now allowed Bruno Fernandes to sign a new contract in the middle of this season and now go and try and attempt to acquire the player, and now we're being told it's a higher price.
And we're surprised by it.
And it's like...
how are you surprised?
The whole summer, this guy was so attainable at a reduced price.
To come, begging.
Yeah, so my question is...
Pouring himself out.
My last game for the club.
Every week he was doing that. Every week. The people wasn't even close. He was still doing it. Like, hey, commentate me. Somebody's going to believe me. Someone's going to believe me.
The thing is, though, Mourinho aside, I still think that for your club to grow, you need a manager to come in and do the changing. Because nothing else is going to change. So, like,
only thing I'll say about that, is that I've seen other managers do more with less. Literally, the other week, we saw Bielsa come to Emirates Stadium with Leeds.
And how long's Bielsa been there, though?
Literally a year and a half.
A year and a half, this is his second year.
And his impact was last season. His impact was there last season.
There's managers doing... I see Graham Potter at Brighton doing more with less. You can't tell me Brighton have a better squad than us, yet they consistently play better football than us.
Sorry, go on.
It's just that Ole, with the squad he has, he's too reliant on two front players in Martial and Rashford to do everything. To coach a midfield to not have to do, if it's not counter-attacking, it won't work completely. That's our identity.
It's funny you mentioned your midfield because I actually want to go back to Liverpool because again, you would think that it's Man United that won the game today, the amount of minutes we spend on them. But I said it. But I actually thought your midfield did quite well today in the second half. I thought Matic. I think I've seen Matic about 3 or 4 times since his injury, and he hasn't actually looked that bad. Fred today for me was the best midfielder across both sides. I felt like he had a good game today. His only downer for me was his insistence on shooting because he can't shoot and he keeps shooting.
I don't know where the confidence comes from.
Attempting to shoot.
That Brazilian passport.
But on Liverpool, I thought Liverpool defended well, apart from 2 or 3 moments, and I just thought today their attack. Obviously, they didn't have their shooting boots on, but the ease in which they were just cutting you lot open, like it's literally what we said last week. People would say, "Oh, Liverpool was cruel to victory." If Liverpool had their shooting boots today, it would have been 3 or 4-0 before you even got into the game.
Also, people have to take in we're missing our best player, our second best player, and one of our better midfielders. You know what I mean? So we did have a depleted side, and I thought we put up a decent fight.
You did.
What I think in parts of the game we showed that we could compete, but I do think that Liverpool were always in control of that game, and I never doubted that they were going to get the 3 points.
Martial blazing that chance though, that is so uncharacteristic. Like you associate him with finesse. For him to just blaze it over like that is.
I think Van Dijk crazy. I think Van Dijk got done well. He just rushed him.
He made him shook a little bit there. But I think just to praise Liverpool a bit before I get accused of being a hater and this, that, and the other. But honestly, in terms of my judgment on this team, I think even if they do lose a game, I think that we're watching probably the best team in the Premier League that we've seen personally.
Ever.
Yeah, and
I think what they're doing this season is unprecedented,
because
man.
I think you saw all aspects of their play today. Like they defended when they had to defend. Like the thing is, what we're used to seeing with them in previous seasons is them, going all action, all gung ho. That this TAPIN, and they've actually evolved, so they don't have to do that. When they turned it on in that second half, at the start of the second half, United couldn't get out, and that's what Liverpool can do to you. And they were relentless, and it was literally like your players just wanted to get the ball out wherever they can. Do you know what I mean? Because they wouldn't let you breathe. Then, like in the first half, you saw it. They had intricate plays on the left hand side, on the right hand side. So saw it with Firmino, the individual brilliance that their front three can have when it was twisting up Wan-Bissaka, like we've not seen anyone do this season for a whole. And then when you guys were on top, they actually limited you to maybe one or two chances. They were good chances, but they limited you to when if you were playing another team, you would have had a lot more joy. So I just think they have so many weapons. They're so defensively solid that this is the best team that we've seen in the Premier League.
I think you're
I
suffering from
agree.
short-termism. I think they're an outstanding team, yeah, but I think that Chelsea team, Mourinho's first iteration, was amazing. I even think 2 seasons ago, City team, when they broke the points tally, I think that team's probably the best team I've seen.
You know what? I think maybe it's a bit far-fetched to say that now because the season hasn't finished. I think if the season finished and they were like this, then you could say that. But like, I see why he's saying that because, bro, how many games is it? 22 games? They've won 21 out of 22 games.
But the only thing I'll say about this, I've said it before as well, is just the fact that the level of competition that the rest of the top 6 has offered has been so low. For me, it kind of puts a.
But you can say that about City. You can say that about City in 17-18 though.
The thing is, I don't buy that, right? Because you can't say the level of competition is so poor, but then the fact that all of these teams are dropping points to these so-called lesser teams, and Liverpool aren't, is showing how good they are.
Oh no, that's not to take. I'm not taking away from Liverpool.
If you look at the sides that are taking points off the so-called Big Six, you look at the Wolves, you look at your Southamptons, you look at Sheffield United, you look at Leicester and stuff like that, and the way that these teams are playing, they are making it hard, and they're making it so much harder. And I think when you look at the teams gone by, they didn't have this level of mid-table teams competing with that, because that's the reason why that so-called Big Six are dropping so many points. Is because the rest of the league, the standard is so high. So the fact that Liverpool are just wiping the floor with everyone, I'm just like, I'm astounded.
Are you finished? Are you finished?
I agree with you
Proper
there, but
Liverpool
I think I don't think the sole reason the Big Six are dropping points is because the standard of the other teams are higher. I think the Big Six this year have been poor.
I agree.
Okay, cool. Enough of Liverpool United, unless anyone wanted to say anything else. Cool.
Congrats to Salah as well. He finally scored a goal against Man United.
Yeah, and boy, did he enjoy
Shout
it.
out to him. He's been getting a lot of
90th,
pelters.
we ain't
He
even
can never
counting
score
that,
against
man.
United.
We
He
ain't
can
even
never score
counting that.
against United. And he put you to the sword. Good. Shout out to him. Shout out to him, honestly.
Felt a bit personal.
Somebody's better.
No, it's not even bitter. I made a comment like last week to say that like I can genuinely have there's validity in this comment as well, that I think when it's all said and done, Salah could genuinely go down as a better player in the Premier League than Hazard, and I got pelters. I got absolute pelters. If he, how old is he? What, like 20, 26, 27?
Yeah.
Scoring something like 20 to 22, couple goals a season, like bruv, it's there to see. The proof is in the pudding.
I'm not mad at that, to be honest. All right, Newcastle. Steve Bruce's team again picking up 3 points. Continues to stun me how they're not down in the dumps in the relegation battle. But yeah, Chelsea again showing their soft core, last minute goal. What's our take on Lampard's season so far? Because I think a couple games in, the first 8 to 10 games, we're really rating his style of football and the influence he'd had on Chelsea. Now it seems to kind of taken a bit of a U-turn.
When I look at Lampard's Chelsea, I see he's gone for the youth thing heavily, but that's kind of going to be the life and death of him at this for this season at least. Because when I see Mason Mount still consistently starting games over people like Kovacic, who's been one of the best midfielders this season, it's kind of like I get when you're playing youth like this, through the good times and the bad times, you have to back them. Otherwise, you're just going to be like any other manager who, during the good times, they'll play the youth, but when it gets bad, you'll drop them. I understand why he wants to do that, but when I look at Mason Mount, he's just not having an impact at all. And he needs to change it. He needs to change. He needs to do something else. But with youth, you kind of have to go through they're going to go through the ups and downs. And throughout, obviously throughout August to probably October, November, the youth were doing very well, but it's kind of fell off completely now. So he has to change something at this point.
I think this is expected because we said this a few months ago when they battered Burnley as well. These players are young, so they're gonna have their lows, they're gonna have their highs. This is for a lot of them. This is their first full season at like top level football. Obviously, Tammy and Co have had loans here. Mason Mount's had loans there, but like this is their first season playing with the expectation that Chelsea as a football club have, and they're gonna go through their ups and downs. And my position on Chelsea hasn't changed from day one till now. They need another striker and they need a right winger because ultimately Hazard was essential to them scoring and creating goals last year. And in games like yesterday against sides where you're just looking for someone to literally just put the ball in the back of the net, despite all the domination and possession, you need that talismanic figure or that player with a little bit more cutting edge to just put the game to bed. They didn't have that yesterday, and that's why they've lost that game. That and their complete inability to defend set pieces or phases of play from a set piece. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy the way, literally from the start of the season, they've been so poor at set pieces and nothing's changed.
I think Lampard's a bit biased towards Mason Mount though. Because
100%.
Did he start yesterday?
Yeah, he did in the midfield three because for some of the other young players, he's not been like afraid to take them out the firing line, because like Hudson-Odoi, he came back, he wasn't really performing, took him out the lineup. Pulisic, same thing. But then with Mount, it seems that no matter how the guy plays, he always seems to find his way, either in a starting lineup or coming off the bench. So I don't really understand why he is forcing him into that lineup unless it's the fact that he sees a little bit of himself in him.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I think he does.
Go on, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's like it's a bit of a rash thing to say, but I genuinely think he does. No, I genuinely think he does.
Lampard's come back to the club. He kind of wants to mold the next one. That's probably what would make his name off at Chelsea as a manager.
I guess he saw him the whole season at Derby last season when he saw.
Like I just saw a tweet the other day when they actually lost. It was like Newcastle without a win in like 3 or 4 games or whatnot, hadn't scored in blah blah blah. Chelsea played them. Chelsea gave them 3 points. Generous FC. And that is what you see. You saw it with West Ham. You saw it with Bournemouth as well. Yesterday was Newcastle's first Premier League win in 5 games. In 5 games. Like, this is a side that are ravaged with injury as well. Fair enough, they had Maximum coming back, which was a big plus for them.
Cher was on the bench as
was a big plus for them, and Shaw on the bench.
Williams
crocked. Williams crocked as well. So, like, this is a team that were there for the taking to beat. And, like, you've gone there and you've not won. And there's another player that I want to single out again, because this guy keeps getting away with murder as well. Kepa.
Kepa Arrizabalaga. I told you from about 3 games in that this keeper is trash.
You did, and the thing is, I wanted to back him. I wanted to give him some time, but it's ridiculous how poor a keeper he is at the top level. And it's not to say that he's a terrible keeper, but he's just so bang average.
But he's well below average.
Yeah, and let me read this. So he has got a 55% save percentage. That's the worst in the Premier League. You cost £72 million. You cost £72 million sterling. What is wrong with these wrists? His wrists are actually made out of paper, not even paper mache. They're made out of tissue.
The rest of the stat was like of the 132 keepers in the football league, he's 127.
How does he start ahead of De Gea? How does he actually start ahead of De Gea?
He's a short keeper. He's got chocolate wrists. Like, it's the worst combination. They literally bought him off the basis of him being able to kick ball, and you can't even see it this season.
He can't even kick ball properly. He's decent with the ball at his feet. He's not even. He doesn't. This is my problem with him. He doesn't excel. He doesn't excel at any quality that you need as a goalkeeper.
What I would say though is I don't think yesterday's goal was his fault.
Oh, I think it was.
That's on him. That's on him. He can't get that weak.
He palmed it into the side net.
You can't be that weak.
Yeah.
That's literally like the first shot. I think that's the first shot on target he faced all day. Like, you need to have your concentration up. You need to,
like, for 73 million pounds.
You have to save that, man.
You have to be a quality goalkeeper.
That's the basis.
You can't, even if you're average, you're rubbish. Do you know what I mean? For that price, like £73 million, that those players are supposed to win you titles. Do you know what I mean? Like, and this guy is costing them points every other week.
Literally, I think Lampard, he must have had a good game against Brighton, and then Lampard must have said, "He saved us today." I'm hoping he can have a few more games like that. And I'm like, the fact that a manager is
having
to come out and sit and hope.
Maybe he could give us something like that. I
It's
don't know.
ridiculous.
Maybe.
You should have assurance.
It would be nice.
You should have assurance in your keeper. You should. And for me, he doesn't give you assurance when he's between the sticks for Chelsea.
Okay, Wolves picking up yet more points. They've had a terrific season so far after a slightly slow start. Jimenez, he's just been on fire this season. Again, he had a slow start as well, and it seems when his sort of goals started coming in, Wolves' turn in form was fantastic. And like the guy, I think for goal contributions, assists and goals, number one for 28. Was it 2018? I don't know. I saw a stat on Match of the Day. I think he was above Sterling. I think it was like 28 goal contributions. I can't remember the time period, but yeah,
he's such a good player, and he was one of the players at the start of last year who we were literally lamenting the fact that this guy couldn't finish.
I'm glad it's not just me
because we were
when Wolves bought him, I literally thought they're buying a dud. From everything I've seen of him before, I was literally thinking there's no way they're really signing him. But credit to him.
I didn't even think he was a dud because when you actually watched him play, he was doing everything well, but he just couldn't finish. And even now, I can't hand on heart say he's a good finisher, but he's sticking the ball in the back of the net now, and he's so clutch for that team. Him and Adama Traore.
You can't ask for anymore.
I think you're right though, Toby. Because at first I thought, he's just a good striker. He's got a lot to his game. But to me, his finishing's definitely improved, and he's packing them in for Wolves.
He's like what? Their highest ever Premier League goal scorer now, 23.
Is that 23. A feat though for?
I mean, it's good.
Man, these are man like Kevin Doyle and them.
It used to be Stephen Fletcher, and I really like Stephen Fletcher.
I did as well.
I really like
He's
Stephen
a proper
Fletcher.
journeyman.
He is, but it's credit to him, and again, credit to Adama Traore, who seems to be playing a pivotal role. Whenever they win, he's always involved in some shape or form now. 2 assists for him yesterday as well. I think they did really well to recover from going 2-0 down to Southampton.
And Southampton must be sickened though. Relegation battle, and you're giving up 3 goals in that. I think it was the last 30 minutes.
Are Southampton still in the relegation battle? They're like a point behind us in the table now.
They are 3 points behind us, 4 points behind us, and 3 behind Arsenal. But it's just disappointing from them. And even Shane Long, when Shane Long is getting on the score sheet, you're thinking,
honestly,
wow,
that's
throw away those 3 points.
Wow.
Shane Long's bagging, it's a rare day.
Yeah. That's his first of the season as well.
And that's their first loss in 7 matches in all competitions
Shout
as well.
out Hassan Hüttl again. Yeah. How old is Traore now?
23.
23.
Oh yeah. Big move pending. Do you think he'll stay next season?
Yeah, of course.
He has to.
Who's he gonna go to in the UK? I mean,
it doesn't have to be the UK though, does it?
A move though, because I think I don't know. It's I'm not reading anything into these stories, but it was Man City linked with a move for him, 80 mil.
I don't think he's good enough for Man City right now.
But if he continues playing the way he's playing, do you think he's worthy of a PFA nomination?
No,
not yet.
Mad.
No.
Okay. Enough of that then.
Unanimous.
They got Traore, but
I tried it, Dama. All right, City 2, Palace 2. They're dropping points a lot this season, Man City. Shout out Palace, who did well to get back in the game, and even bigger shout out Shank Tossen, who we love to blast on this pod. He came good with a goal. Anything to read into City's performance? Oh, just unlucky.
Yeah, it's symptomatic of what we've seen from Man City all season. At times in games where they're by far the superior side, the inability to see out a game. We saw it against us at the start of the season, pummeled us to oblivion, and somehow didn't win that game. You saw it yesterday against Crystal Palace. You saw it against I'm trying to remember
Newcastle.
which team.
I think
Newcastle as well, away from home. Norwich towards the end as well. Like we're seeing a side who were ruthless are now they're actually giving teams opportunities. And I think when you have John Stones in that team, you're always gonna give teams opportunities at
that
goal.
That guy he's so rubbed as a defender. How is this? What his 3rd or 4th season at City?
I think it's his 4th. Yeah, 4th.
That's a mad thing. I've seen zero progression. In fact, regression. Regression from when he was at Everton.
The thing is with John Stones, right? I'm like, if you are playing under probably the best possession manager in world football.
Yeah, you
in
don't
Pep
even have to
Guardiola,
be
and
that-
you haven't improved, and as a ball playing centre back, then you can't be that good.
That's the
for
worst
me.
thing. He's like literally the only good thing that he was lauded for at Everton is ball playing. Other players have surpassed him in that now as well.
Yeah.
He's not even one of the best ball playing centre backs in the world no more.
He's not. And I guess from your point, dovetailing from your point, if you're playing under Pep, who's a possession-based manager, you shouldn't have to defend as much as you would in a normal club. So the fact that in every game, like you'll highlight him, you'll see him on Match of the Day making some sort of defensive error, it exasperates how bad a defender I think he actually is, because he seems to be making some sort of mistake in every single game he plays. You thought he would have eradicated it by now.
Shout out to Crystal Palace as well. They've taken points off United, City, and Arsenal away from home this season as well. Like Roy Hodgson, I saw some crazy stat the other day that like he's only lost 41 out of the 107 games he's had in charge of Palace. So like that's actually ridiculous for Crystal Palace. Like
Pretty crazy.
he's someone who goes under the radar in terms of praise that we give to managers. Like he's
Like
reliable.
73 years old as well.
He's the dinosaur that he just won't quit.
But he's reliable. And even Jack Tosson came out the other day and said that like at Everton we knew that we were beat basically. Like he said that the manager would just tell you just go out there and be you basically. And he basically said that it's good to actually come to a team where the manager expects you to come and get something out of the game. So I don't know whether he's firing shots at Silva or Big Duck Ferguson there, but he's basically saying Crystal Palace play for the win, whereas Everton weren't playing for the win. So yeah.
More to come from Shank Tossin.
And shout out Aguero as well. 5 goals in 2 games.
250 for City now, I think it is.
Beast.
Cool. All right, rest of the action. Burnley finally picking up some points there. Chris Wood with a goal and Westwood
Yeah,
for their
Westwood.
second. Vardy missing a penalty as well.
Not just a penalty, missing a host of chances. I actually said before the game, I fancy Burnley to get a result. They were always going to need luck on their side, but Leicester just, I don't know whether it's fatigue or just that lack of killer instinct. But I feel like a lot of people fail to forget that this is Leicester, you know, like they're not invincible. They can go to Burnley and lose. They're not Man City or Liverpool. And today you saw a side who didn't put away their chances, and we've seen that plenty of times in the Premier League. You don't take your chances, you're gonna get punished.
I feel like Leicester are kind of feeling the effects of having a very strong starting 11, but outside of that, the squad's kind of weak. And you thought during this Christmas period that'll be their squad will be put to the test a lot more. And over the last couple of weeks, it's kind of come up short. What was it? The match against Liverpool that was taken apart. I think there was another match recently that they lost.
Yeah, Man City.
That's it. So yeah, it's kind of just showing you need to have the big squad if you're gonna go for this top 4, and you're facing off against teams like Chelsea, Man United, and Arsenal. Who've got kind of a bigger squad. So,
I think they got top 4, so not to be honest, but
I think so.
it's just, I think they do.
But
it's just the fact that like this was the period where people earmarked that like they're gonna drop points because the squad's gonna get stretched out. And Ndidi's injured now, so that's a big blow for them as well. And that's 4 losses in their last 6 Premier League matches. So
and I think you're right, because if you look at the players that are actually coming into the squad, like Chowdhury, who's an okay player, Dennis Pratt
scored a screamer the other day though.
Dennis Pratt, Iheanacho,
Mendy as well.
And, like, do you know what I mean? They're not quite up to the caliber of their first 11 at all. Yeah.
Shout out to Burnley as well. First Premier League win in 5 Premier League games. I'm just happy for Sean Dyche. I'm happy. Chris Wood as well, back in the goals too.
First people I've ever non-Burnley fans say I'm happy for Burnley.
No, I'm happy for them. I actually like Burnley. They get too many pelters, man. What he's doing there is fantastic. Absolutely
I wouldn't say
fantastic.
I like Burnley.
He jumped on the Sean Dyche bandwagon.
You really liked him, but the thing is, Nick Pope as well. Like I felt like he could have done better for the Barnes goal today, but I think his general performance throughout the rest of the game strong, and that's what a good keeper does. A good keeper bails you out of the game, and that's something that we don't see from Kepa a lot.
Just a random one. Who you lot starting in goal for the Euros for England? It's Henderson,
Pope.
Pickford,
Pope. Pope has got a mistake in him, but he's more assured than the other two.
Steve Cook for me.
Hey, perfect segue. Hey, I ain't never seen a segue like that.
No, I think I'll probably start Henderson. You know,
I like the look of Henderson as
I
well.
think he's had the best season out of all the English keepers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pope has been shaky in recent weeks.
Anyone bar Pickford for me. He's just
another short keeper, man. We can't keep doing this to
yeah,
ourselves.
yeah, facts. Yeah, I guess that segues us nicely into Norwich Bournemouth. I was gonna say where do I start, but I think we know where to start.
Honestly, I think that's actually one of the craziest things I've ever seen on a football pitch. Like, in 30 minutes, 30 minutes into a game, and you decided you're going to do your best impression of David Seaman. Like, I literally need to have an interview with this guy. I need someone to interview him and ask him what is going through your head at that point in time.
Man.
Because if it's 90 minutes, fine, knockout football, fine, but you just gone and got yourself a suspension for no reason whatsoever, and they scored from the resulting penalty anyway. So
Honestly, that is genuinely the sign of a captain who thinks his team are in big trouble.
They are, man.
I'm saying that's the only sort of thing that will happen to a team that's without winning like 11 games.
Yeah, man.
Facts.
You've got a big game against your relegation rivals that you need to win, and your captain does that. That only happens when you're down and out.
So you think they're gone?
Yeah, they're gone. Here, them, Norwich.
So what about so what do you think should happen with Eddie Howe then? You think he should go?
I don't think he should go because I'm not sure whether Bournemouth can get better. But
I mean, the money they spend, you'd think that they're ambitious enough to go out and actually
they shouldn't be in a relegation
if they were to
battle.
sack him.
The experience that they have in the Premier League and the money they've spent, but at the same time, Eddie Howe has seen them through their good times. It'll be kind of a mockery if they let him go.
And this is what I wanted to ask: how much credit in the bank does he have? Because I remember when it was me with Pochettino, I actually willingly said I will take us finishing 10th or 11th, give him the wipe out the season and him go again. But the thing is, Premier League survival is at stake for them now. Yeah. It's completely different to finishing outside the Champions League spot.
I think you're right for that though. In terms, and I agree with you with that on Pochettino. I think Bournemouth should stick with Eddie Howe because, to your point, if they do get relegated and they sack him, who are they going to bring in that will guarantee that they'll get promoted again?
I don't think there's no guarantees with that.
Yeah, and I think if they stick with Eddie Howe, he's actually their best bet of getting back to the Premier League because I think he's had so much experience now. Because the thing is, he is still a young manager, so he's only going to get better and better. I feel like if they stick with him, they'll get back to the Premier League quite quickly.
What I would say though is yesterday when I listened to his interview post-match on Match of the Day, I've never seen him look so defeated. And some of the words and the language he was using, it just seemed to me like he was literally all out of ideas.
Yeah,
and
can you blame him?
I can't blame him. But if there's a man here who's all out of ideas, then something's got to happen because there comes a point where obviously you've got credit in the bank, but if you're a sinking ship, a decision has to be made, and maybe they don't sack him. He just leaves.
At the same time, you can't be surprised if you your literal captain is decided to do that 30 minutes into a crucial. I'd be deflated as well if they lost by the single goal as well.
True. Yeah. And speaking of the loss by the single goal again, I just want to re-emphasize why exactly Norwich are going down. Like you're playing against 10 men for 60 odd minutes, and you can't put this ball in the back of the net. Yeah. It's ridiculous. They had something like 16 attempts at goal in that game, and you're only scoring once, and that's the problem with them. And now
it'd be a tight match as well. That's the worst.
Yeah,
thing.
and now Ben Godfrey as well, needless red card, so he's suspended for 3 games as well. So they're down.
But yeah, Bournemouth's chance creation this season
is pathetic. Absolutely pathetic.
Yesterday they were saying Callum Wilson had a shot on target, which was his first since October. Yeah, and that's crazy. Absolute mad thing.
They dropped Ryan Fraser though from the starting lineup this season.
I don't think he's been that good this season though.
But I think that's actually a major reason why they're so poor going forward.
Not really, because I've seen him play and he's not been good.
But can I finish what I was going to say? Though? Because I think he's probably got his head turned in summer. Like people mentioned Zaha, and I think a similar thing's happened with him. So much so that they took him out of the starting lineups. At the start of the season, and he's not quite hit the heights that he did last season. He was a major reason as to why they were so good last year.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, cool. Let's talk about some of the London clubs then. Arsenal won, Sheffield United won. Over to our Arsenal correspondent.
We're going to be here for a million years.
Nah, I'll keep it brief, but sure. I think now a lot of the players are getting exposed for what they really are. Basically, I think before I
What an attack.
I think before Unai Emery was shielding a lot of players from criticism because people were saying, "Oh, you know what, Emery doesn't know what he's doing. Do you know that this, that, and the other?" But if you look at it now, Arteta's been there. I think 6 games. And there's the likes of Ozil, who people are saying, he's doing more off the ball and stuff like this. But this is a guy that's got 1 assist in his last 17 games. So I don't care about all your off the ball work because we're not paying you £350,000 a week for you to go and give us defensive actions. Do you know what I mean? then you got Lacazette, who's up front, who people are like, he's a good player. Somehow voted player of the season last year, and this guy's getting outshone by 19, 18 and 20-year-olds playing in his position. Martinelli, who's come into the team, has scored more away goals than you this season, and he's played three Premier League matches. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like...
I heard something like he's not scored an away goal in over a year or something.
Yeah,
like
something like that. Like
pathetic.
7 away goals in 2.5 years at Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? And this is a guy that's wearing number 9 on his shirt. So
good trim really saved this guy's career, you know.
Do you know what I mean?
Like, good trim, nice beard.
I said it in one of our chats that this guy is living off trims and celebrations.
I didn't see you putting that. Do you remember that dance he did there?
That dumbass
Arsenal
dance,
fans were gassed when he did that dance.
But honestly, no.
Lord.
We need serious investment, man.
Lord.
I think the whole spine of our team is not working. We're not creating enough chances, and I want to give Arteta more praise because we did not think that this team could defend, but he's shown us that we can. But going forward, there's nothing there.
Shout out Sheffield United as well, taking points off Spurs, Chelsea, and Arsenal. They have a thing for playing and United as well. I'm talking away from home. So they have a thing. They have a thing for playing in London. And what was unsurprising for me against Arsenal was that they had more attempts than Arsenal yesterday, and they were the away side. Like, this is a side that actually thrive going away from home, and the good times keep going for Chris Wilder and co.
Yeah, facts. All right, to another correspondent, our Tottenham correspondent, Toby. You went up to Watford yesterday.
I did.
How was it?
It was good in the first half. First half was actually a decent performance. Like, some of our players were popping off some decent passes as well. I saw Harry Winks actually playing like some aerial passes as well. Like, he was actually passing forward. Like, he was
off the ground for once.
Off the ground.
I've never seen him pass.
Did you see the pass to Son? Like he was actually like, our midfield were in control. Even Ali as well. Slide rule pass into Lucas Moura. Like,
that was a great ball.
That was a good ball. And I'm thinking, okay, cool. Play like this in the second half. It's just a case of maybe moving the ball quicker. We're gonna actually break through. And then second half, completely lost control. I think, again, I don't want to get on this Mourinho guy because I feel like I do it every week, but his first instinct is to bring on Eriksen when Jaffet is getting absolutely murdered by Ismail Sarr, like battered, absolutely battered. Like, we were, because obviously they were attacking where the away end is, and every time Sarr had the ball, you're just thinking, stress. My head was hot.
Like,
and they should have. The thing is, we had 2 clear-cut chances, but really and truly, they had a penalty. They should have actually put that game to bed.
Yeah, and to be fair, that one off the line as well was unlucky for Spurs. It was like 1 millimeter.
That was a crazy. I ain't never seen it like that close.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, but the one thing I was gonna say for Watford is just that Malang Sarr, like he's not the prettiest on the ball or anything like that, but the guy is so intense when he gets it and when he makes his runs that literally Tanganga, who is like a massive, like 6'3", big strong guy.
He's like 6 foot. Come on.
Oh, is he? Oh, no, he looks taller than that.
He's 6
foot.
But
Anyways, but he looked like a rabbit in the headlights every time.
He's not left back though.
This guy was running at him, he's not left back, to be fair to him. But I really liked the performance from Sarr yesterday, and I think it's a big blow that he's
hamstring injury. Yeah, so like that's actually three clean sheets in 4 Premier League home matches for Watford under Pearson. Like we said with Arteta, I didn't think this Watford defense was savable in the sense that, like, I think he's probably just going to have to get his shooters scoring more than fix the defense. But he's getting a tune out their attackers, and he's making them a bit more solid defensively as well. And I want to shout out Chalobah as well, who's come into that team, and I think he's put in some really good performances. In the first half, I think he struggled a bit because I think we were actually players like Lo Celso were rolling off and playing like clever, tricky passes. But I think second half, like, I think that's when he started locking stuff down for Watford as well. And I just want to shine a spotlight on Son Heung-min and Ali. Son Heung-min, this is a player who stupidly got a red card against Chelsea, poor performance against Middlesbrough away from home, poor performance against Liverpool, and poor performance yesterday again. This is the problem with Son. He's no doubt about it, he's a quality player with world-class moments and world-class talent. But the reason why I can never put him in this world-class bracket is because when the going gets tough like this, he has this in his locker. He has the ability to drift out of games for probably 3-4 matches on end. And this is the season that Spurs fans were hoping, like, yo, just take the game by the scruff of its neck and just be consistent, please.
Go up to that.
Just go up to that level.
You see with Son though, I think I don't wanna labour too much on Mourinho. But I think if Son was playing in, say, a Liverpool team, I think you might see more consistency from him over the course of the season. Because Mourinho literally, I know I'm not in the dressing room to repeat what he says, but he doesn't have as much of an attacking plan for his players as some of the other managers, and he just tells them to go out and express yourself. And I think you're seeing that in some of the way that Tottenham's attacking. It doesn't seem very fluid, cohesive, or connected. And it just looks like, to me, I can just see
not to be solid at the back, do all of that, but when it comes to the front and then when it comes to attacking, well, basically say leave it to the attacker.
Yeah,
relying on their magic.
Because he got a tune out of our attackers initially when he came in with like playing Ali closer to Kane and stuff, but it's not rocket science. You're literally just playing our 4 highest scorers on the pitch. So of course we're going to score goals. My problem with him is now when there's no Harry Kane in the team, his style of play hasn't changed, and his style of play will never change. Playing lumpet football to a 5'9" Lucas Moura just because he's got a big leap. He's not going to be able to occupy both Cathcart and Craig Dawson. So negative tactics again, and we've not scored in 3 Premier League matches. I think, like you said with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, whereas Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a yes man, the only thing I commend Mourinho for now is actually coming out and saying, I think this is the type of game where if we had a striker here, if we had a striker with Liverpool, we won't lose that game. So he's putting pressure. So I fully expect, I'm not going to be one of these Spurs fans who are going to be getting on Levy, but Levy has to answer for a lot. And I fully expect we're going to sign someone before the window closes.
Cool. West Ham, Everton, the battle of the sort of misfiring sides, 1-1. Anyone want to say anything other than Calvert-Lewin? He's on 9 goals this season. I
said before, take Calvert-Lewin as the third option to the Euros, simply because he gives you a different profile to you probably got Rashford and Abraham, who are more goal. Rashford's more give me the ball, let me dribble. Abraham's more of a goal scorer, let me get in the box. With Calvert-Lewin, you can take him as the third option. He gives you more of a physical presence up front. If you need to change because you're only ever going to need your first striker to change the game. You put him up front in the last 10 minutes, you can probably go a different way. Literally,
I think he's good in the air.
Yeah, and I think more than his aerial ability, I think something which I've seen against Newcastle away from him and against West Ham, he's getting into the right positions. That was something I didn't see.
His finishing is not where it needs to be.
His finishing is pathetic.
Yeah.
So let's just be straight. Let's just be straight. Let's be real. His finishing is pathetic, but the good thing I'm seeing about him is now he's getting into the positions that a good striker should be getting into. And I'm not saying he's a good striker, but it's the fact that like he's learning, like he's progressing as a player, and you love to see that. And now with the injuries that the injuries to Harry Kane, potentially Rashford as well, not making the Euros, it's not a far-fetched shout to say that he should go to the Euros. It's not. Go on, I know you're doing your face.
I'm putting my foot down. Don't you dare take.
So what 3 strikers?
Take one less.
And Mason Holgate as well. Shout out him too, because I remember when I went to Goodison Park he didn't play in midfield against us. He played. He played defense, and I said yo, this guy is actually improving, because the last time I watched this guy back under, I think it was Ronald Koeman or Sam Allardyce, he didn't inspire me with any confidence. But now he's come for you with the ball. He can step out of defense. He can defend aerially as well, and he's got the physical attributes to boot. I think they can make a decent partnership with him and Mina, because I think Mina's actually been quite decent this season too.
Yeah, I think that loan he had middle of last season has really helped him. Yeah, it really helped him come on leaps and bounds. Yeah, hopefully it lasts. All right, finally then.
No mention on West Ham.
What's there to say?
Yeah, what do you want to say?
We ain't coming on no David Moyes team.
Nah.
Only thing I wanted to say on West Ham is not finishing their dinners yet again. 3 big chances created at home, 3 big chances missed. It's not good enough for a team that has spent 40-something million on a striker, 40-something million on an attacking midfielder. It's just not good enough.
It feels like West Ham fans are always protesting, you know.
Yeah, they really are.
Did you not see yesterday? There was a tweet going around that they were going to protest at 1 p.m. or something like that about the board. Because I think both the Davids came out and did some nonsense article recently as well, talking about the progression of the club. And obviously, it's going to irritate fans because the fans are seeing their team move backwards.
Yeah. I think I don't know, because I think the fans are being slightly harsh on the chairman though, because I know when they first came in, they were, sort of throwing money on like random players, this, that, and the other. But I think in the past sort of like year to 18 months, they've actually taken a back seat. They've still put their money in, but they've taken a back seat in the sense that they're not necessarily being the centre of attention. Like I remember David Gold was always getting into Twitter beef with people, like doing mad Twitter.
And sign at the end, DG,
like
full stop.
You're a whole chairman, you know.
Do you know what I mean?
Getting
Like,
into Twitter beef.
doing all sorts of stuff. They were always in the paper, like what would we call them, the Dildo Brothers and all this stuff. Do you remember that? but I think now they've actually relaxed a bit and just sort of let the managers get on with it. And I think they have, sort of tried to make good decisions for the club, but it's just not necessarily worked out. But I think that's football, and I think the fans need to be a bit more patient, because if you told them like 3 years ago you're going to be playing in a stadium full of 60,000 people, you're going to have La Liga and Premier League winning manager Manuel Pellegrini, they would have taken your hands and snatched it from them. So I think they need to have a bit of balance.
I think what's the thing with them is that they didn't really want to leave Upton Park. And the fact that they've moved into this big stadium and they haven't really brought any top class players with them.
They've been basically
what did we leave for?
Yeah. They've been sold dreams that haven't actually materialized yet.
I think that's football at the end of the day. Like you have to be patient.
I think West Ham fans have always been demanding, to be honest, and
for no good reason.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? They're asking for sexy football.
Get back in your box.
Yeah, go and get Bilic again. All right, Brighton and Aston Villa to close our podcast. What an exciting match to talk about.
Literally,
home comforts that we love banging on about for Brighton, because it's apart from last season when they first got promoted, it's one of the things they're good at. One home win in their last 6 home Premier League matches. It's not good enough, and they're sliding closer and closer and closer to that relegation zone. So that's something they need to fix as well. I think they just need to be a bit more clinical at home as well. Like I'm seeing too many of these sides not take advantage of their dominance at home. I think Aston Villa, I'm sorry, but they're like the second worst away record in the league. I think they've lost the same amount of matches as Norwich away from home. Like Aston Villa away from home, or Aston Villa coming to your ground, I'm sorry, that should be as good as a win. And they should be winning that, and they haven't.
I think that we have to realise that they are Brighton, do you know what I mean? And they are a pretty limited side. And by and large, I think in every Premier League season, you're going to see them in and around the relegation area, relegation zone.
No, but they have talented players, though. Like, they have players who... They have players.
So do all of the relegation threatened sides. Norwich even have talented players, and they're rock bottom, aren't they?
They do. But what I'm saying is, I think Brighton have at least a solid base defensively, and they actually have some talent going forward as well. Look at the finish from Trossard yesterday, or Saturday, whenever it is. Like he's a bit inconsistent, but like when he has the ball at his feet, you know that there's something good gonna come out of it as well. Even that Jahan Bash guy as well. Like you had never heard of him. You'd never heard of him.
Well, don't at me. I mean, most
no.
people.
I'm saying it as an example. So I'm like, but at home, that's as good as a win, man.
But
I
think you hit the nail on the head, though. You're speaking about Trossard, good ability but inconsistent, and I think that's just the status of the players when you get further down the table. They have ability to show their levels at times, but they can't do it over the course of the season, which is why their clubs tend to put in inconsistent performances.
Fair enough. Yeah. So my question to you, Banks, though, Grealish, that's 12 goal contributions now in 21 Premier League matches. Is he a starter for you in this England team?
Yes, because Mason Mount is starting for England currently. And
does he start for England?
He started the last couple of matches.
What? Nah.
I think he started a few of the last matches. Yeah.
At least they have to put him on the plane. That's the minimum, because to have a ball carrying a midfielder who can create a chance by himself. England don't have too many of those right now. Loftus-Cheek is injured. They've got Barkley into the squad. Ali's there, who's not really. He's gonna need someone to create for him. You gotta take someone like Grealish in there who can dribble, who can relieve the pressure that way. Something different.
Yeah, him and Ox have to start for me. To start.
It depends what system Southgate wants to do, because, to be honest, I was writing off Henderson as this sort of sitting DM, but he's played really well there for Liverpool.
He has to start for England.
Past few weeks, so I think he should be starting. I think Rice should get dropped, and then you have to play two.
Rice will be lucky to make.
I think Rice is going though.
He's going to go. You need to have him as a body.
I think start of the season, I would have said Rice starting, but in terms of how I'm seeing midfielders play, I think the midfield three should be Henderson, Ox, and Grealish starts ahead of Maddison for me, actually.
Fair enough.
For me, I start Winks in there. I put Winks in there.
Wait, you said Henderson, Ox and
Grealish.
Yeah, that's how I'd have it.
No, I'd start Maddison over Grealish. If I'm playing Ox, I'm definitely starting Maddison over Grealish. I think Maddison is far more decisive in the final third, despite Jack Grealish outperforming him statistically this year.
Yeah, but I think and this is another discussion we can do on another day, but I think if he's playing that 4-3-3, I think Grealish is better suited to it. Cool. All right. That brings us to a nice close. Let's plug our socials.
Okay. Who's going first? You?
Nah.
So you
Banks, I'm gonna allow you to plug your socials.
Find me on Twitter at Banks_TF3. I also look at our YouTube channel, The Final Third, on YouTube. Discuss football there every weekend. You're gonna love it. Instagram _Banks_TF. Find me there.
You gonna add your Snapchat as well?
I could have it for
personal things only. Yeah. You can find us on @TAPIN Football. You can find our co-host
at TAPIN Tobes on Instagram and Twitter.
At Dan Cougs on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure you drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe CheekySport YouTube channel as well. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter as well. Trying to grow that following.
Thank you.
Just have like a long list.
You got to plug yourself.
Honestly,
man.
well said.
Nah, I hear that. All right, thanks for listening, guys. We'll be back next week.